Okay, calling the meeting to order. Going down the list, 9 Morris Avenue now is
Not here, not presenting.
so she's putting it off until next month, until the June meeting. Right?
Yep.
Defer that until the June meeting. Okay, and 1 Depot Square.
Same.
Okay, 9 Locust Ridge. And I see we have the application in front of us.
I'm here. Sorry. Just doing bedtime.
Okay, no problem. Okay, if I remember correctly, we had a problem with the way that your the materials.
Yeah, the LP Smart Side siding. Can you guys hear me okay? I've got my headphones in. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, the LP Smart Side siding was not no bueno. So we went with the board and batten. So there's a board and batten shed. You'll see it there. I basically am looking to probably paint it black with black shingle or gray shingles on the roof there. And so I was hoping that that would satisfy the board.
Well, if I remember correctly, I think the issue that we had to do with the materials. In other words,
Yes, correct.
being a composite.
Yes, correct. Which this is not. This is board and batten as you requested.
Okay, board and batten with. Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty much exactly what you had asked for.
Okay. How about the issue as far as its location?
Yeah, that's not a problem. We're agreeable on that front. We'll, satisfy the building or the zoning rules and do the 5 feet on either side. That's more than fine. This is more of a means to an end for us. We're clearing out our basement to finish our basement. So you may see me again sooner than later. But really, this is just to get stuff out of the basement. So we're happy to abide by whatever rules needed so we can do that.
Have both the LP Smart Side and then the pine board and batten product that it too.
Yeah, the smart side one is no longer applicable.
This one.
Yeah,
Okay.
you can toss that. You can toss that. That's no longer applicable.
All right. Anybody have any questions? So, do I have a motion? Now, and I think that essentially, location to be as determined by zone.
Understood.
No, well, it's really more a question of zone of zoning regulations. So
Setback
yeah,
For the location to meet required zoning.
or get a variance. That's
right, to be determined. Okay, do I have a motion for this application as modified?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, Joe,
Thank-
got it.
Thank you. Thank you, folks. Appreciate it. Hope you have a great rest of your night. Bye, folks.
Oh, and then I'll bring it. Bring my laptop. because they can play with it. I already changed AstroTurf to faux foliage. Not anything even close to that.
Okay. All right, and you had written or asked the question, what's the point of this, right?
No, I just think there should be some more regularity to it.
To what?
To if somebody is not in compliance with what we approved for them to do, that we try to push back in some regard, or at least recommend that the
Well,
board of trustees watch the building inspector push back in their authority to do so.
well, just for everybody's information, our ordinance is enforced by the building inspector.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, our building inspector is town inspector. Did they?
Unfortunately or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, but yeah.
Well, they hire.
Yeah, so, there's an additional code enforcement official, split between us and Putnam Valley, or I guess the town of Phillipstown and Putnam Valley. And he'll be primarily handling fire inspections and complaints. So if this is categorized as a complaint, please.
Okay. So we should be complaining more.
Yeah.
All right, so this is the start of maybe something that's going to be on a regular basis.
I think this letter is great, and I guess if it is on a regular basis, it's just, we see what we see, we write it up, and then folks can do what they need to do with it. It
Yeah.
feels,
At least we're
Very
doing our job of like, hey, this is not what we approved,
just so you know, if you're looking for something, this is
or
the
this was
thing.
never even brought to us.
It's hard to enforce something if you don't have
You're
direction.
not alerted to.
You have to know what to say.
Yeah. Yeah, my biggest, the reason number 3 is italicized is that I couldn't find anywhere that strictly prohibited that. Like in our guidelines, it says wall signage and it defines wall signage, but then it doesn't give parameters over what's allowed or not, and it references a page, it says reference page 22, which then has nothing to do with signage, so that was an oversight on all of our parts when it was being done.
Well, typically the extent of the signage is covered in the zoning ordinances.
The percentage or the amount of the wall that's covered.
The zoning ordinances have percentages of how much signage each establishment has.
Oh, okay.
So we
Because
have,
ours, about window signage is clear about that, and it doesn't reference it when it talks about wall signage. That's why, like, I referenced the 25% of visible window glass in number 1, because our guidelines specifically say that it cannot take up more than that.
all right, there's a massage parlor in Main Street.
On the
Yeah.
second floor.
the second floor.
That's interesting. Sidewalk.
Yeah, that's not there anymore.
Can we, sorry, just going back to the
Yes.
first paragraph before
Sure.
the bullet point. Can we change very visible to just visible, soften it slightly? I
Yeah.
mean, I think it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
What do you call it now? Floral carpet?
I called it green plastic faux foliage material. Because it's not anything resembling grass or turf. It's like little leaves that like stick out. So it's just like a faux,
For both buildings?
yeah,
Same stuff?
yeah. There must have been a sale going on because I,
Walk by and like get up and close to it. 'Cause I've
I
seen
took-
photos, but in the great, I just wanna
Yeah.
like,
and again, it's like, I don't know quite what to specifically call out there because it's, none of it's permanent. So
Yeah, it's
like-
more like a,
it's like a decorative temporary add-on type thing, and yes, is it offensive visually? 100%, but like, when it's not, they didn't remove siding in order to cover it up with this green stuff,
and
so,
then we're getting into sticky territory because the yarn store has a artwork up, like a crochet flower
Oh.
thing that they've hung up.
that to me feels like artwork. These feel like it's more of a facade treatment.
it definitely does, and I don't think there's any intention of it being removed, thereby kind of making it a permanent feature of the building. I just am not sure if we need to word something a little
How do we
differently.
make a distinction?
Yeah.
between that and something like that, I think the.
Okay, we're talking about number 2, right?
Mhm.
Non-approved flooring.
There's like wood, like IKEA sells like outdoor kind of parquet wood tiles that you can assemble to cover up like concrete or something like that. And part of the, again, I don't know if it's part of the village property or it's like just off the side, between the sidewalk and the building where there is some dining tables now, right in front of where the green plastic stuff is, the floor was covered up with these IKEA, panels, like parquet panels. I think I took a picture of it recent, just when I walked by the other day.
It does feel like that leads onto the sidewalk.
I
Although I'm
did get
not
a
sure
good
where the
picture
fence
because
is.
I was trying to be subtle as I walked by, but that's.
Well, I think that essentially we can't be subtle anymore. Either, need to sort of go on record and say that this is a problem for us.
Yeah,
I'm just-
And, yeah,
That's what it's like.
It's just
so it's just covering the
Got it.
concrete of the sidewalk.
clutter, you know.
And then, this is showing the actual plastic that was put up. On the wall of the building and also covering the balusters.
so this is the 129.
Yes,
Yeah.
129, 131.
Okay.
Same address, I mean, that's it.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's got different taste.
Yeah, I think it's this thing.
It's just a
something
taste thing.
cozier than
Yeah,
straight up
it just is.
concrete.
Um, Okay, I guess the first question, all right, let's go one by one.
Yep.
So, do we have any idea of what the neon sign, how much of a window area it takes
The
up?
windows are all taken up by lettering that says, I don't I don't have a picture of it, but the windows are essentially all taken up by lettering put on. So like squares of like an like a massage parlor spelled out MAS, like it's all across all of the windows. And then there's a neon sign, I think that maybe is saying open or closed or something like that, just kind of plopped in there.
Okay.
So there's no signage on the windows or anywhere else that I can see that it's saying what the business is named, but it's just kind of like stuck to the windows across.
And we're not talking about at street level, this is
The
at
second floor.
second floor.
So it's double hung windows that are vinyl replacement, double hung windows in that building. For
What's on the first floor is,
supplies for creative living, like the art supply and the flower shop, Bose shop. It's the old Shakespeare building that was painted
They just
brown. They
repainted
just
gray.
they just repainted
It
it.
looks
Front doors,
actually
they
great
stripped down,
with
so
Bo
nice.
and
Yeah.
Grace's shops in there.
okay.
So they didn't come, they didn't ask, they,
Well, I just want to make sure that we can, we can describe exactly what is non-compliant. Obviously, lack of neon signage, right?
well, lack of
Or
approval
their
for their
right.
signage in general.
Well,
right?
neon signs are not allowed by the standards.
Right.
So neon signs are, the neon illumination certainly is an issue. And then if the windows are in fact covered up with these letters, then that would be another one which exceeds the
Yeah.
percentage.
I think what he's written is clear on both of those points.
Well, okay, the fact that it didn't come to our review and approval stated in the introductory paragraph. So why don't we just identify specifically the and say a non-compliant signage at the massage parlor. And I don't know if we need to repeat again that it didn't come before the board for approval.
I mean, I kind of feel like we do need to make a point of that because we're calling out things that were either done without our permission or approval, or things that were done incorrectly after we approved X, Y, and Z, and somebody decided to just do whatever they want, and we haven't done anything about it, which comes later on.
Okay, but
So-
that's only one instance, the number 4, right?
Yeah, I
This
just,
doesn't seem redundant to me, it's saying non-compliant signage, you didn't come before the board and we wouldn't have approved it for these two reasons. So I think the idea is come back to the board with something that we'll approve.
Right, well, and in the first paragraph, it says that were done or installed in buildings in Cold Spring without HDRB review or approval.
Oh, I see.
And so, let's group them in two things, because I think that we really should, I want to be very specific, and so that when it's passed on to the building inspector, they know exactly what it is that our complaint is.
But I guess this
I
is
feel-
saying, Todd is saying, they either didn't come before for review, or we didn't approve what they installed, and so now he's getting specific to each space.
I feel like the complaint is twofold here. The
Yeah,
complaint is that they didn't follow procedure, and also it's non-compliant. There are two different
Makes sense.
elements to the complaint. I don't know, I feel like that's an important thing to say, because certain other people.
Well, you say signage is non-compliant both because of its neon illumination and the fact that it takes up more than 25% of the visible window glass.
That's why it's non-compliant. That's why we wouldn't have approved it had they
Okay.
come before us, but they also didn't follow procedure by coming before us.
Okay, I think
It doesn't seem.
I find it, if you're bitching about something, it's best to be very succinct. And so
Not a hill I'm gonna die on. It
You're
depends,
not.
whatever everybody else wants. I
All right, then let's move on, because it's not a hill that I would die on either. All right, non-compliant exterior alteration is installed, and you changed it to.
I said installed green, and obviously whatever we decide on is fine. I just changed it because it's not AstroTurf. So I wrote has installed green plastic faux foliage material. Cause it's like a,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
it's like a plastic fake miniature leaf that it's probably this.
miniature ivy.
Yeah.
Um,
Against the side of the building, covering the wood clapboard siding and woven into the wood balusters of the exterior porch.
all right, how about the flooring? One of the things, if you notice, that we typically have not exactly been very strict on is the flooring. For example, we don't review porches, not porches, but I guess patios. And because we really don't, it's not something which is at least wasn't deemed to be critical. So do we want to go down the road with this particular?
I feel less, the green attached to the building, while it's all temporary in theory, that feels like a more permanent installation. The flooring tiles that they've assembled, I would imagine they're gonna take up for the winter because that would be the smart thing to do. I would rather it not be there, but I'm not sure exactly for sort of the reason you just said. I'm not sure like what we're referencing to say you can't do that. Like if some, I
Generally don't allow plastic material. I do think it's a pretty prominent location that nearly touches Main Street, and it's
because the undersiding is plastic, you mean?
the whole wood is, the whole thing is plastic, right?
No, that I'm on board with 100%. I'm saying specifically about the flooring component.
Floor and plastic.
No, it's it's wood on top. It's like parquet wood. I mean, I know this because we had it in our apartment in Brooklyn on the outdoor patio. Like it's like a plastic undersiding and wood parquet on top.
I just think.
And they're like squares that are assembled.
So like, we wouldn't approve it on any of the front porches on Main Street. I don't think we want the
Yeah,
people
no, that's
shop
for
to
sure.
like go put it down because we don't say anything about it now. So if we're gonna say something, it seems like this is the moment to mention that that's not, I mean, it seems.
Also very visible in a way that other patios may not be on
That's
like a
what
private
I was
residence or something. Like this is a commercial property that is extremely visible from a lot of places on Main.
Okay, and what is our objection to the wood patio?
That they just didn't get.
I mean, I think if it was a, something that was constructed, we would for sure have a stricter and more strong opinion on it. It sort of just plopped down. So, and I just am not sure what legs we have to stand on necessarily for that component. Because the argument could be made, oh, well, it's just up for the season or something, and
It's been up a long time.
yeah, I mean, I don't remember when they did it, but
I've seen it for months and walk the dog by there a lot. It feels permanent to me. It's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
It just seems like it's a veneer thrown down on
and it is.
Well,
concrete.
Well, I mean, for example, if they had put down a carpet, it'd be the same sort of thing. I guess my question is the durability of such an installation.
Not very much because it is from IKEA. So I know this from my own lived experience that it does not last very long, especially if it's on the ground and you're having
Well, and
from the
that,
sand and snow and all that
am I
stuff.
correct that it's not exactly anchored to the sidewalk?
I don't think it's anchored to anything.
Right, so then So then realistically, we would have an objection as far as the durability of the installation.
Yeah, I think the problem is that somebody could come back and say, well, it's not a permanent thing, but,
Well,
They don't
okay,
take
it's
it
not a
down every
permanent,
night, though.
right,
Like signs, I think that's the rule, right? If you have a flag out or a
Yeah.
sandwich board, as long as it comes down every night, then you can put it up. It doesn't need approval, it feels the name to me.
so I think that, I think we have an argument because,
Okay.
it could, maybe not now, but, give it a couple of months as the summer season has just started. So come, fall, if it becomes, loose and, people start tripping on it.
yeah.
So we
Do you
don't.
want to add anything to that then, or?
No, I mean, okay, we'll get into language, non-approved flooring. We can say that, flooring veneer has been added to the sidewalk seating levels that has never been submitted nor reviewed.
So in addition, non-approved, a non-approved flooring veneer has been added to the sidewalk level seating area on Kemble Ave. That was neither, what did you say, neither?
Well, you can take out the non-approved, you can say in addition, the flooring veneer has been added to the sidewalk
Okay.
level
Reviewed,
located on Kimball Avenue that has not been submitted nor approved. Okay, why is number 3 in italics?
because I wasn't sure what to reference in terms of like how it actually and formally broke the rules.
We'll just strike to avoid HRB review process for store.
Yeah, I know, I was just like grasping at something to write there.
Well, the size of the sign exceeds, the allowed percentage.
Yeah,
Area.
that's not in our guidelines.
I saw it somewhere though, the overall width of the building, it has a certain percentage of that width. I can try to dig it up, but maybe we can keep it
Well,
basic for now.
yeah,
We'll know.
but
Yeah.
I don't think that, I'm sure that in the zoning ordinances, it very clearly states a certain percentage. And so I don't have a problem citing the zoning ordinances as something which, because I guess the question really is that has the brick been painted before?
It was, unfortunately.
The
it was
wall
painted-
too, not
it
just
was
the building.
The wall
Okay.
was painted purple when it was at Kismet Place.
Right. And
So they repainted it gray and then they painted their sign onto it.
all right, so, arguing about painting the brick is, runs into the problem of that it's been painted before.
It's also not prohibited, it's just discouraged.
Right.
I understand.
Yeah, so they didn't get approval for the signage. The lettering.
What?
They didn't get approval for the lettering.
Well, on any signage, we really don't comment on the content and,
Yeah, it's just like the,
Scale.
yeah.
Issue.
So should I just write,
no.
painted signage? As our,
Painted signage exceeds, areas allowed by zoning ordinance.
the deli at 72 Main Street painted store signage directly on the brick wall that exceeds allowable area under zoning. I'll look for that in zoning. Under zoning code, yada, yada, yada.
Okay, non-compliant alteration to storefronts. The home garage door, the approved door maintained the industrial style of operation with the addition of a formal entry egress component from lieutenant. This replacement was installed, the approved door was disregarded. Um,
Some age is not picking up.
Okay, let's change that, from the approved door was installed. Was not installed and then instead of commercial style aluminum glass storefront with French doors was installed. Or that was.
You wanna just
installed.
remove the context of what we approved, just take that out for now?
No, no,
Leave
It's
the,
more about what we approved was and installed and something
Yeah.
else was, rather than disregarded, which.
just say that, yeah, what we approved was not installed
Oh, okay.
as opposed to disregard, because
Okay.
a lot of people disregard us, but we're talking about.
So I'll just say when this replacement was done.
No,
2024.
the approved door was not installed.
Yeah, I know, then I'm just saying
or you
installed
could
twice.
just say, you could just take out the approved door wasn't disregarded, and you could just say, when it was installed in 2024, a commercial style aluminum glass storefront with French doors that does not match what was approved was installed.
Don't even say match, which was not approved.
Number 5 is crazy.
Yeah, then they like didn't even paint the siding to try to cover up the fact that they just.
Maybe they kept those windows, it's temporary.
Yeah.
What do they have right there? Is it a bar? Is that why they wanted it to go?
I think it's the kitchen,
They need the equipment there.
Okay, 55 Main Street. Is that Foundry Rose? Okay, because they have also the
Plastic ivy.
plastic
They
ivy.
do.
Should we add them also to the first one?
Well, no,
No.
and let's list it by.
Yeah, where is it though? Where is is it on the side of the wall there?
The ivy?
Yeah.
Yeah, in
Yeah.
the photos, it was right next to the two
It
windows
is.
on the left and the plastic on the right.
So I need to just add this.
And also, I don't recall that fence that is up on top of the masonry wall.
Let me pull up my email because it is a large brand new fence.
Yeah.
Let me just pull it up.
Well, yeah, same thing as language about skirting the process. I'd probably cut that. Keep it less.
Oh, right, yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
That,
Right, there's the
yeah,
plastic
and
ivy.
there's the plastic, but that's the fence that was all also constructed down the side of the building. So unpermitted and non-compliant alteration to ground floor windows. The cafe located at 55 Main Street removed and replaced multiple windows without board review or approval. So we'll just say, we'll remove the stuff about skirting the process. Then I'll say shrinking the openings without board review.
Oh, and I think you can leave that out.
Just remove that.
Yeah, because, obviously, if the way they shrunk it is they replaced the window with a smaller window.
Like half, like
Maybe
less
we
than half the size.
The cafe located at Main Street removed and replaced multiple windows with smaller windows with, and that way you can cut the.
With smaller replacement windows.
Yeah.
Also, and reduce the opening size of board
removed and replaced multiple windows. While also reducing, while also,
TMI,
Okay.
that's too much information.
My fear is that people remove and replace windows all the time and they're like for like.
yeah,
This
which,
is not like.
this is like very,
Yeah.
it should be said, like significantly shrinking the openings or something, right?
What it was is that they probably could get windows that were not, didn't fit the opening.
No, they went from like a 3 foot by 5 foot to like a 2.5 foot by 3 foot, like not even, they didn't frame it in, just frame it in, it was raise the sill by 2 feet and shrink the width also. They probably did something inside that they wanted to not have. Removed and replaced multiple windows, drastically reducing the window openings
Significantly.
versus significantly.
Okay.
That's a big deal for me, to reduce an opening.
Well,
Yeah.
I understand that, but I mean,
Without board review or approval.
it seems like we've got a number of other things in this location that.
So I'll
Concise,
say-
concise.
In addition,
They added, the plastic,
where are you at?
whatever it is.
The tenant installed against the side of the building and added a fence
Side yard fence.
and added a side yard fence. Should I just say repeat again without review or approval?
Without review or approval.
And is it non-compliant, the fence? It is, right? It's not a.
It doesn't make any difference if we didn't review it.
Yeah.
I mean, it could comply. Well, it doesn't comply because it doesn't comply with the guidelines. It's entirely possible that we would have allowed it. But, that's neither here nor there. It wasn't submitted to us
Yeah.
for review or approval.
Okay,
Okay, and we sum it up with, we ask the Board of Trustees to please increase enforcement on non-compliant, non-permitted alterations to buildings.
Is there a part in our, like, what, can we cite the language that says like failure to comply can result in fines accrued or whatever the language is? Because we can sort of say like, this is what it says and nobody's enforcing
It
it.
is what it says. It's true.
Okay. That was part of our ordinance. Come up here. Do it this way. Can you upload, Abby, can you upload the chapter 64 of the ordinances up on the screen? We can all look at it together. Okay, let's go down. Scroll down because it's usually towards the end. No, let's find out where it is on the, okay,
penalties for offenses, 64-16.
okay. Yep,
Oh, no.
64-16.
Things are going up.
Yeah.
This chapter shall be enforced by the code enforcement officer. No building permit shall be issued until all applicable
So you
provision.
click on the page plus or minus above to stop the scroll. Nope,
It's quite far down towards the end.
Ridiculously when it.
Yeah, no, it's like way down, way down. Any person, firm, or corporation, including an owner, lessee, contractor, or agent which violates shall be subject to a penalty of not more than $500 for each day the offense exists. And shall be liable for restoring the improvement to its condition prior to the violation. Restoration shall be to the satisfaction of the review board. That's pretty much it. In addition, any said violator of this chapter may be deemed to be a disorderly person.
Okay, what page is that?
It's not, it's 6426.
26.
Yeah,
So go to
64,
page
26.
26. You can type it into the box there.
No, because it's,
So should we have this reference that just the code?
should I just say village,
see
reference
code?
village code
No,
stat
no,
64
no, I
16?
want to throw the number out at
Oh.
it because,
There,
yeah.
Well, then that should be kind of probably its own paragraph because
Well,
they're
that's at
all
the-
in
at the end.
violation.
At the end.
At the end.
I think. So why don't we say, according to chapter 64, paragraph, whatever it is, what's the paragraph number?
Yeah, 64-16 paragraph. E. So do you want me to say that before we ask the board?
Yes, I think that the last paragraph needs to be expanded, saying that chapter 64, blah, 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 of the village code or village ordinances state that the building inspector will enforce. Does it say?
Well, paragraph A says this chapter shall be enforced by the code enforcement officer.
Okay, so, state that.
According to Village of Cold Spring Village Code, chapter 64-16, paragraph A, the bidding of the review board will.
No, say the rulings of the review board are enforced by the
Shall
code
be
enforcement official.
By the code enforcement. Then I'll say, in addition, according to chapter or paragraph B,
per paragraph B.
and or in addition per paragraph.
Just in addition.
Yeah. Oh,
No, don't say in addition, make that part of the first sentence.
that's a
So
lot.
read the first sentence as you have it.
According to the Village of Cold Spring, Village Code, chapter 64-16, paragraph A. I don't know if there's a more proper way to say
Okay,
that.
just leave out the paragraph A because I think paragraph B is the.
According to the Village of Cold Spring, Village Code, chapter 64-16, the rulings of the HDRB shall be enforceable by the code
Shall
enforcement.
be enforced.
Shall be enforced by the code enforcement official of the village.
And carry a potential fine of $500.
And carry a potential fine of $500 per day. You want me to say according to paragraph B or just leave it out?
No,
We already covered it and just citing 64-16, that's an A or a B.
We ask the Board of Trustees and building, or I guess I should say code and not building inspector, we're calling them code enforcement. We ask the Board of Trustees and code enforcement, is it officer or official?
we'll see.
Official to please. Do you want me to leave
No,
that?
sorry, take it back. Code enforcement officer.
Officer?
Yeah.
The original way that I wrote it just says to please increase enforcement on non-compliant and or non-permitted alterations to buildings in the historic district. Compliance with our design guidelines is vital to preserving the character of the village.
The only thing I would change is instead of saying to please enforce,
To just enforce,
just enforce.
to enforce To please enforce what though? Enforce,
non-compliance and non-permitted alterations of buildings.
to please enforce non-compliant and or non-permanent alterations. Okay.
Throw down the gauntlet,
Yeah, right.
and then they promptly ignore us.
Look at us. Look at us go.
Okay,
And that's been years in the making, right? It's just a report on existing conditions.
all right. Anybody have anything else that they want to add?
There a shed or like barn falling down,
I'm sorry, say it again.
a barn falling down that was visible from the street, barn was.
You're talking about the one up the hill.
What, on Stone Street?
But, I mean, because that was, she came before the board and we reviewed it and we ultimately,
Not by Nelsonville,
huh?
not the one up by Nelsonville. You're saying Stone Street?
But is that what you're talking
Yeah,
about? The
I
one
just
on-
remember it coming up in discussion that there was a barn that was falling down, that was visible from the street.
So if it's a maintenance thing, is that something we weigh in on?
That's kind of hard. I mean, where do you draw the line?
Or the building inspector noticing this thing to.
Well,
I don't know if there's
isn't there,
maintenance that's needed on buildings, is that our job to weigh in? I'll say it's difficult, slippery slope there. I'll agree.
if I remember correctly, there's something in the code which talks about that people are supposed to maintain their structures. I don't know how we enforce it, or if we want to identify things that we think are potential losses. I wouldn't make it part of this.
Yeah.
Let's make this, something very specific. And we're talking about along Main Street, which is probably one of the more visible portions of the district. And it could be something that we pick up later on.
I have a way to make that more fun. Maybe, so Kate and I went to this, yard lecture up in Kingston.
Yeah.
Where people came from this woman, Kate Woods, who had,
Oh, I know.
who has a business, basically advising people on how to restore their old houses. She does research for them. She advises them on which things to kind of tackle first. There were people from the State Historic Preservation League there, and then there was a local person from Kingston involved with the historic district. And the whole presentation was about historic tax credits, rehabilitation tax
yeah.
credits. And haven't done this yet because my whole spring got derailed, but I have been in touch with Kate about her coming here and we talked to the other woman from the State Historic Preservation League to come and give a workshop in Cold Spring about getting tax credits for rehabilitation. And it's kind of amazing. So it's a way to kind of inspire people to maybe maintain things
Yeah.
because they'd be.
I would check into it because the issue has been raised before. And I think that there is a problem as far as how rich
Yeah,
the district.
Yeah, I mean, this is one thing I wanted to confirm with Kate, but I did look at our census tract as it currently is, and I'm pretty sure that we are.
I totally forgot about this because it has, Kent did call, because Kent was, my partner was very excited. He built a whole porch. He had HDRB approval, which means that you can retroactively request this tax credit when normally you wouldn't be able to. He called and what Kate said to do was to call Kate Worth, to call the office and confirm that you have HDRB approval and can you do this retroactively? And they usually say yes. And they said, we would say yes, but your census does not.
Really? Okay,
I wasn't on the call, he did a quick,
Okay.
but he's, I mean,
okay.
when he gave me that talking point, I think that's exactly what she meant, yeah.
We're just too rich.
Little Cold Spring.
Okay.
And the reason I know that is because
Okay, that's
the
fine.
issue has in fact come up before, and I do remember that it was shot down, but. Okay, so, why don't you email me?
Well, I gotta look up the, as relates to number 3. I have to read through the chapter 64 to see. That's where you said it.
No, chapter 64 is,
That's us. So it's zoning.
you're talking about zoning, and that's, it's a different chapter.
Yeah, because right now I have painted signage, the deli at 72 Main Street, painted store signage directly on the brick wall that exceeds allowable area under zoning code.
Right.
Like, do we want to say anything else about that, or is that really the only kind of thing that we can say?
Leave it at that.
Okay.
If they want any more, specific direction, we'll be more than happy to provide that to them. Okay. The front door that I sent you, it's gonna be at the June meeting, right?
23 Market,
Huh?
23 Market, 23 Market.
Yeah.
And
I don't know, but
I think the only thing we might be waiting on is your referral.
Do you know, Tom,
What?
when the
But it
fence
should
would
be.
Okay.
like around
And
the seating area?
plastic.
I don't see it as a big issue. I think that should be able
It
to.
hasn't come
Funny,
before.
because it came, the new structure came up at the last meeting, and
I just wanted to leave that.
we have to leave it, right? They said it was wood, and I was pretty sure it's plastic, and it is.
Okay, so, let's talk about the, database update. Who has not yet, submitted, Richard?
Well,
You want to push this to the next week, to the next month, so you don't have to be the one to raise your hand? You want a couple more weeks to?
No, because it just, I've got it almost done. The only thing I have to change is there were a couple of, certificates of appropriateness that probably should be listed there. So, but, I have it updated. I have it on my computer. And I just need to upload it to, the Google Drive. So, and how about everybody else? Why don't we just go around and talk about the status? That's the status of my file.
Are we talking about our one sheet on our houses?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, you guys, I think, did your
Yeah.
homework. Mine is almost done. Kent has information, that I just want to make sure to add to it. And then I didn't realize that you're right. Certificate of appropriateness, of course.
Right. So let's shoot for having it finalized and uploaded by the next meeting. All right, but anyway.
Well, I guess the bigger question is, so we have 5 properties done. But what's the next step? Like, are we,
The next step is, we start going through, all of the other properties.
but
And we
are-
review these 5 together first, right? The sort of
Yeah.
what was difficult for us, what's becoming inconsistent, if the system works, right? And
Right.
from there, we,
If there were any final changes, these 5 are the prototypes. And we're supposed to come up with, if we have any particular problems or issues. So is yours,
mine's done, yeah, with your template,
okay,
yeah. Did you do it on his?
I'm pretty sure I changed it over, yeah.
okay, Kimberly,
I was having trouble with that.
okay.
we send a link, is that?
So who is our Google master here?
Yeah, we can all send it.
Okay,
Google Master.
all right, so let's shoot for having, at least discussing it at the next meeting. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, minutes, do we have any minutes that we can review?
Sure.
You?
Myself, I wasn't here.
The same one you were just for? What's your name on the footer?
Is the only, maybe it was one or two, but for January, I think, you guys adjourned without motioning, so I did not put a motion on that one. But I'm not quite sure if that's something you can fix.
December, November, December, January. And none of those are applicable to you. If you want to sit through, you want to do, let's do April, and then you can fail. Okay. Start with April 15th.
Oh, this.
Okay, I guess, is there a reason why the format's changed?
We just need that header added in.
Yeah. As far as the format,
Right.
is there any reason why it was left on?
The heading, I didn't do the one for April, I think everything else. I can put it on when I make corrections.
Okay,
Oh,
so,
these are my notes from April, I think, is that right? So
okay,
they're not, these aren't, yeah, maybe we shouldn't. These are the rough notes and not formatted. If you didn't clean them up, they're probably not ready to look at.
okay. So in other words, these need to be
There's
resized.
notes on it.
Okay. To be reviewed in 3 weeks. Okay, so let's start, if you want to take off. Or you can sit here and,
Get out of here.
Yeah.
I know you want to.
all right, so let's start with November.
Always
Bye.
goes for-
Cherry Street.
Did you give these to us already and we make some notes in person and then we were gonna make notes?
Well,
separately?
I think, the issue is that we didn't have the voting people.
Yeah,
I wasn't here last, because I wasn't here last, so yeah.
Yeah,
but
because
you submitted corrections for, I wanna say it was like October and November time. So whatever you submitted for correction has
Was done.
been corrected.
Okay.
Or should be.
okay, so 3 Cherry Street, they'll come, they actually are gonna come back in December 555. Okay, what was the question that Jay Burgess was responding to? Applicant comment and says there was responding to a question of mine.
I think that probably, yeah, that's actually me, because I'm the one that mentioned that I was fine with the orientation being the way it was, assuming that the reason for that was the power output. So I guess, yeah. So it should say Jay Burgess responded to Todd's comment.
Okay. Well, and also what the question is. In other words, this is the answer, but what is the question?
I referenced that I had no problem with the orientation of the panels, assuming that the reason that they oriented them that way was because of the power output. And I think he sort of just chimed in as soon as I finished saying that and said, yes, that's the reason, because it needs to be for the best power output.
Okay, so why don't we scratch applicant comment and just make, move that paragraph up to the, as part of the paragraph above.
And just say Jay Burgess responded to Todd's comment.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
With Todd's comment in order for the customer, yeah.
Yeah, and just change and taking out the bolded applicant comment and just moving it up to the, be in line with the other. He mentioned that the majority of the roof is not visible from the street, which is a complete not correct at all. Like the entirety of the roof is visible from Fair Street and Garden Street. Like you see the whole roof from everywhere, basically. So
You know.
yeah. I mean, that is what he said, so I guess we need.
All the time. That's like the line.
And
Yeah.
so why don't we change the applicant's comment to an applicant's response?
At the bottom of.
Could we also say something about, I think at that meeting, we said that you and I would go there.
Yeah, we did say that, yeah, yeah.
And so we could just add a sentence that says, Todd and Lauren agreed to go have a site visit.
Oh, and that would be part of the proposal, or I proposed a site visit. Then I directed Todd and Lauren to go and
We were
check it out.
told very firmly, figure it out.
Go out there and take a look. Okay, anybody have any other comments?
No, not for November.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve November minutes as we have modified it?
I will make a motion to approve November's minutes as modified.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
4-0, 1 abstention. Okay, let's move on to December.
Do we want to just say for 3 Cherry Street where it's bolded after what's written to say that they, submitted photos? Cause that's what they were asked to do. Cause otherwise it kind of looks like. To just say like the applicant proposed installation of 14 solar panels. Facade photographs were provided with this application or with the, yeah.
I'm sorry, one more time.
So where it says the applicant proposed the installation of 14 solar panels, period, just add a sentence saying,
Facade photos were provided as requested.
I think it's the. Oh, sorry, now I'm on Fair Street. Should I look over there?
Anywhere
Shade
there.
report, I think, just came up because it came up prior and they hadn't sent it, but I don't care. Yeah. It's good. Go to their
Because I think we should say something for Fair Street. After visiting the property, the field inspectors, which I would love that to be my job title. Forever.
Vice chair.
Field inspector. That we also reviewed samples at
Yeah.
that time. We just got, on site.
And they brought them in, didn't they?
Then they brought them in too.
Well, I think that one of the issues that we should point out is the fact that based on the field inspection, the slate tiles were in fact in pretty poor shape, which is why it was pretty much agreed that it needed to be replaced.
Okay, so maybe after visiting the property, the field inspectors confirmed that the majority of slate tiles were not viable and suggested blah, blah, blah.
I wouldn't say that because I do not have, the expertise to be making a judgment call like that. The roof was in bad condition. We could certainly establish that, but
We saw
like,
that there was extensive water damage.
yeah.
And the issue is really not percentage of slate tiles that were in bad shape, but the roof needed to be replaced rather than patched. I think that was pretty much what we were saying.
All right, but I gave the wrong language.
So I can add, after visiting property, field inspectors confirmed that there was extensive water damage. And
Yeah, I mean, because in an ideal.
Placement was warranted in this case.
Okay.
But, requested that, existing plate tiles be
So,
salvaged for repairs to the roof of the church.
okay.
And also that we looked at samples.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And inspectors. Inspectors general.
That's right.
And
So we need to get.
Lauren and Todd also reviewed samples for potential new roof material. Yeah. On site.
We'll have to get some badges.
Go arm and
I'm from the historic district review board. I'm here to help you.
go gadget. Slate inspector.
Okay, and wasn't held. Okay, corrections. As to clarify the continuation.
yeah,
Is that from a previous minutes?
September 3rd.
I can erase the corrections heading to make it a little bit more clear. But I for September 3rd.
Yeah, that,
It's hard to follow, right?
yeah, just take the corrections away. I think that makes it easier, right?
Do I have a
Yeah.
motion for the December 3rd minutes?
Who wants it?
I have a motion to approve the minutes as modified.
Second.
Favor say aye.
Aye.
Hey, 4-0.
Yes, people.
That's right. All right, going to
Okay.
January.
Quick, this one is.
Yeah, I think there are 2 other meetings for January. This just happened to be the shortest one.
Oh.
Oh, right, this is the one. Was this the one on Zoom?
So there's,
Oh, okay.
for the DGEIS letter, since there actually is a letter, do we need to articulate what was discussed to get to the letter, or does the letter speak for itself?
Or,
I mean, this is describing what we modified in a letter, but the letter is in itself sort of a form of minutes, right?
all right.
So it could just say that, we finalized our draft.
Yeah, I mean, we probably shouldn't even bother with, itemizing the changes that we made. We should just say, we reviewed the DGEIS final, comments
Agreed.
and right, and we all agreed on it. And it was issued to the village board, the mayor and the village board. Okay, now, did we go into executive session when we interviewed the Kimberly?
That was not there, right?
All right, so we need to indicate that we went into executive session.
Interview a prospective board member.
It's
The third item, yeah.
I mean, I can, I guess, reiterate it.
The heading, it's not a statement, but it's a heading.
Oh, the heading, okay. Gotta read everything. Okay, then it's fine, I have no problem. And with board business, why don't we, instead of listing all of this, just talk about a general statement saying that the board reviewed the combined comments for the draft DGIS, or DGEIS is the draft.
That's it.
How do we want to say that? Just say, the comments were reviewed and combined and forwarded to the village board, the mayor and the village board of trustees. Leave it at that.
Yeah, that's great. We were agreed on the comment.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes of January 28th? Second,
I don't think I was there.
Second.
okay.
Did you, oh, yeah, you weren't there.
So,
Oh, well, that's kind of, well, it's us three.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Lauren seconded.
Yes.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. It's approved 3-0, 1 abstention. Okay. So,
So Kimberly too, since Kimberly would Kimberly naturally abstain from this when she's not here?
She wasn't, January 28th, she wasn't on the board yet.
Okay. So it's like 4 people total, okay.
And yeah, 3 approved,
and you
Zero.
can say 2 abstain.
301.
Okay, so the 2 abstention,
Yeah.
Second abstention.
her vote would still apply in this moment if it's brought to the board at this time.
oh,
I don't know.
no, you're right. Yeah, 302. Yeah.
For these meetings, to approve the minutes,
Right.
I see.
Okay, do I have a motion? Is there anything else that we need to talk about at this particular point?
I'll just look up the zoning code about the signage, wall signage, and then I will email you guys the
Okay.
draft, and then I guess,
I will forward
Yeah.
it to the mayor and the board of trustees.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, guys, real quick, January didn't have, I don't think it has an adjournment. Is that something that you would address now, or do you want to just leave it as it is?
We're still in session.
I think
There's a lot that
6 months
happened at
later.
this meeting.
yeah, I mean, it was a short meeting regardless.
You know, this was there, doesn't really, what's that?
Did we go over the the draft GEIS before or after the interview?
After.
It was after.
Had to leave, yeah.
Okay, so then I'm sure that somebody moved to adjourn.
yeah, I'm sure you did not, none of you forgot that, definitely.
All right, I think I moved to adjourn the meeting. You
Okay,
second it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we all voted the.
we all voted to adjourn.
And then we went, hooray.
That part out. That's really awkward. You don't-
Probably did.
Anything else?
Oh.
Right.
I moved to adjourn our meeting.
Did we do that already?
No, you
No.
adjourned January.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Done.
Thanks, everybody.
Um,
All right, so for next month, our next meeting, which is in a couple weeks,